Good afternoon, everyone. We'll get started here in probably about another minute. We'll give people a chance to sign on and then we'll get started. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining this webinar today. We're certainly glad to have you. Welcome to the 2022 Congressional Physical Activity Challenge as part of the Physical Activity Alliance and our partnership with Myzone. We're really excited about doing this challenge again this year, and we're looking forward to a lot of fun and competition as we get people more physically active through this challenge. My name is Monty Ward. I'm with the American College of Sports Medicine, and I'm the immediate past president of the Physical Activity Alliance. And I'll be hosting today as we go through this webinar. Today's webinar is supposed to be a short webinar, one to kind of just go over who we are as Physical Activity Alliance and then get into actually how we do the challenge. And so we're looking forward to going through that process and sharing that with you. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. While they're changing to the next slide, I will tell you this is being recorded. And then if you do have questions that you'd like to have answered during the webinar, please, there's a Q&A box down there at the bottom. Go ahead and push that and we'll put your question in the box and then we'll answer that at the end of the webinar. There we go. All right, you can see the Physical Activity Alliance was an organization that was started about 2 years ago, and you can see some of our leadership organizations as part of the Physical Activity Alliance. We are all strong partners in trying to increase physical activity in America, and these are all the organizations that are committed to that process. As you can see, it's a big group who are very involved in the process. All right, next slide. Our mission for the Physical Activity Alliance is to lead efforts to create, support, and advocate policy and system changes that enable all Americans to enjoy physically active lives. Next slide. Our vision is to have an active and healthy nation where the opportunity for physical activity is easily available in the daily lives of all Americans. Next slide. So what we do, as you look at the alliance, we have three main pillars, or three main sectors in our alliance. We have a policy sector, the National Physical Activity Plan sector, and the professional development sector, all geared towards policy advocacy in physical activity, strategic planning, and workforce development. All the things we want to do to be able to connect all the different dots that go along with physical activity that go throughout our whole society. Next slide. For Congress, the Congress last year created the Congressional Physical Activity Caucus, and that caucus serves as a bipartisan organization to promote, educate, inform, and encourage others to engage in physical activity. Our two co-chairs are Congressman Ron Kind and Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick. And as I mentioned, it is a bipartisan caucus, and they're really the goals are to be able to create physical activity as part of the most important healthy lifestyle behaviors we can engage in to maintain physical and mental health. Also, regular physical activity plays a critical role in preventing and treating life-threatening diseases and provides innumerable benefits that contribute to a healthy, happy, and positive lifestyle. But enough about the Physical Activity Alliance, enough about the caucus. Let's get right down into the challenge itself. But before we get started, we've got a message from Senator Burr, whose office was the winner last year in the inaugural 2021 Physical Activity Challenge.
Hello, I'm Senator Richard Burr. For more than 25 years, I've been honored to represent the great state of North Carolina. Today, America faces unprecedented challenges and uncertainty at home and abroad. In times like these, we need strong leadership. We need commitment. We need everyone to do their part. That's why today I'm announcing that I'm once again running for Congress's Physical Activity Challenge. Each year, congressional offices compete against each other in the Physical Activity Challenge to prove that their staff will literally go the extra mile. I'm proud to say Team Burr has been among the top-ranked teams for the last few years, and no office, either in the Senate or the House, was able to beat us last year. I'd like to think that's thanks to my coaching efforts. Unfortunately, every great North Carolina coach must retire at some point. So this will be Team Burr's last year doing the challenge. We're going to be giving it our all. I hope you will too. And Team Tillis better step up if they're going to take over the reins. So here's to this year's challenge, which begins on May 2nd. You'll all have to bring your A game to beat the Team Burr. God bless.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So now I'd like to turn the time over to Terry Woods from Myzone. As I mentioned in the beginning, Myzone is our partner in this challenge, and we're really looking forward to working with them again this year to be able to get everybody physically active. Terry is the Vice President of Sales for Myzone, and I'll turn the time over to you, Terry. Thanks.
Into the green zone now, girls. Here we go. Let's start building. Come on. Leg drive and pull.
Another day, another mile. You've been gone a good long while. Another hill, another climb.
10 seconds, double time. Run.
Let's get into that yellow zone.
So
Let's
much
raise the heart
road
rate.
still left to go. Where it ends, nobody knows. In the wind blows
Quick. 5, 4, 3, 2. Time. Green. Wrapped up. That's a wrap today. Woo. Done.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you for everybody taking the time to come on the call. That video fires me up a little bit, and I want to put the disclaimer out there that right away that by utilizing Myzone, no, you cannot go into wingsuit flying. So don't attempt that on your own. So thank you for having me. My name is Terry Woods. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Myzone. And what I want to do today is introduce you to the MZ switch. And the MZ switch is what's going to be used to power the challenge that everyone's going to go into in May. The Myzone switch is a exercise tracker that's meant for inclusivity, and it's really, the entire company's brand is all about making people feel good about exercise before, during, and after. So what I'm going to introduce to you today is the device that's going to keep track of the challenge, and it's going to motivate you. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Let's go through some key features. You can go ahead and skip through. The wearable device of the MZ Switch is a one of its kind. It's the first product that's been designed that can be worn in multiple areas of the body. So to take you through this, the product we're talking about is the little pod that's attached either on the wrist, the elbow, or on the chest. So on the far left, you're going to notice the product being worn on the chest. When we wear it on the chest, we end up getting the most reliable results. It's at 99.6% accuracy. And that's because what we're doing is we're pulling an electrical signal from the heart. On the wrist or on the elbow, we're using an optical sensor. And that optical sensor is actually taking pictures of the blood flow that's going through your veins. It can get us to about a 96.5% accuracy, which is still really good. But what it does is it really makes up for the fact that it can be used in a much more comfortable fashion. It also allows for opening up the heart rate monitoring to all water activities as well. And the unique thing about this is that you can, this product is the only one on the market that can be interchanged between the chest or the wrist and the elbow. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. Go on to the next slide. The ethos or the being of the switch was really to improve the accessibility to the market. And what this does is it creates more opportunity for people to become physically active by increasing the wearable aspects of the wrist and the elbow. What we're doing is we're creating many more areas where people can exercise, and it's opening it up to markets that are senior, obese, first-time users, anyone that may not want to wear something around their chest. By doing that, it's increasing our ability to drive communities. And what you're going to see is that's a really important thing that we see as being a factor to getting people moving. By unlocking this, what we're doing is we're actually giving the product for people to use inside of a facility, outdoors on hiking, whether they're in an ocean, whether they're in a lake, whether they're running trails, whatever it might be. To paint a better picture of this, I've got some data here that I want to show you. What it does is it shows you the power of connecting inside and outside of a health club facility. If you go to the next slide, this was a study that we did recently that showed the impact of the social connections. And again, going into making the product more inclusive is a huge component for us. And what it does is it allows us, by the use of our software, to tie people that are physically active together. When you look from the top left to the right, what you'll notice is that we did a study where we went into our app, and what we found is that people that had more than 4 connections were 41% more likely to work out than those that weren't using the product or not being connected. Those numbers just continue to increase as people tend to dive into the product. So if users were starting to receive likes, which you can do through our software from 4 or more people, the number of people that worked out actually doubled. It went from 41% to over 84%. When those same users started giving out likes instead of just receiving them, you can see their workouts increased as well, and so on and so forth. As we started getting into people making comments or receiving comments, we were able to get people to exercise more frequently than those that didn't by over 140%. The social connection in the community works. And what drives that is the ability to utilize your effort and then drive the social aspect of the movement. Next slide, please. Let me walk you through a little bit about our tile, and this is what the magic is. So what's going to happen is everyone's going to receive a physical product that they'll be able to wear on their chest, their wrist, or their elbow. As they're monitoring their heart rate, it's going to be showing up on an app that we're going to have you download prior to the challenge. This is the center point of our software. This is called the tile, the Myzone tile. And what you can see on it is people will have their nickname. They're going to be able to see how many calories they're burning during their exercise. They're going to be able to monitor their actual heart rate, and they're going to be able to see how much battery is left in their system. Now, the 2 things I'll call out here is that number in the middle, 74%, and the color of the tile. When you sign up for your app, you're going to give us a little bit of your information. That's going to allow us to calculate your maximum heart rate effort. And then by measuring your actual and dividing it by your maximum, we're going to be able to get a percent heart rate that you're going to be working out at. And that's going to associate with a color zone. So you can see the zones below. If you're exercising between 50 to 59%, you're going to be in the gray zone. If you're in 60 to 69%, you're going to be in the blue zone, so on and so forth. The magic of the gamification, which actually levels the playing field, is something we call Myzone effort points. And what we do is, for the amount of time you're exercising in each zone, we give you a set of points. So if you're in the gray zone for a minute, you're going to get 1 Myzone effort point. If you're in the blue zone, you're going to receive 2, all the way up to receiving 4 Myzone effort points per minute if you're in the yellow and the red zone. And what's great about this is everyone on this call probably has a different maximum heart rate. So when we're moving together, we're all working towards a different maximum heart rate, but we've leveled the playing field. We say we've democratized the exercise experience, and you'll all receive credit per your level. Now, we've tied this credit or these Myzone effort points back to the World Health Organization's guidelines of vigorous activity of 3 to 4 times per week. And what we've found is that if you can obtain 1,300 Myzone effort points in a given month, then you're at the threshold of what the World Health Organization suggests. And that's how we keep score for creating healthy habits, and that's how we're going to keep score for our challenge as well. So it's really important to understand how you earn these Myzone effort points, or what we call MEPs, and you'll be able to see these on the tile at all times during your workout. Next question, or next slide, please. The second component after the physical hardware is your Myzone app. So when we hand out the product coming up here at the end of April, we're also going to have you download this Myzone app. You can find it on the Google Play Store or the App Store, and you'll be able to, at that point, register your device to your account. Some of you may have an account already. We'd be able to register that device to it as well. But this is going to be the center hub. When you have your device, you're going to be able to scroll your home screen. You're going to be able to link up your device, and then when you get to the place where you get to put your heart rate monitor on and actually exercise, that's when the device is going to detect it, and you're going to be able to see the tile that I was just talking about. When you're done exercising, you can just shut the app off, or you can turn the device off, and at that point, your exercise will be recorded, and it will go on to a leaderboard that we'll be able to track and monitor throughout the challenge. The leaderboard is going to show everybody that's in the challenge and their MEPs, which is the currency that we're playing with here, and you're going to be able to track and see where you're at as compared to others. It gets rather addictive, and it will get very competitive, and that's the beauty of it. You heard Senator Burr. You know, it fires people up to see how other people are doing, and it challenges them every single day. Next slide, please. This was an interesting study we did, and as you start to get into this after the first 5 or 6 days, you're going to realize that how tied you are to your Myzone device. And you know, it's a simple study, but we just simply asked people, hey, if you forget your belt, you know, what does that do to your workout? And we gave them a few choices, and what you'll see is that over 70% of the people said it would diminish the return on their workout. Only 30% said they'd be okay with it. And I know, you know, the whole idea is to get people moving. So if they don't have their device, they should still be encouraged to move. But there are countless stories of people that have forgotten their device, and they'll either go home and work out, or they'll push their workout to the afternoon instead of the morning, or whatever it may be, just so that they can continue to earn their points. So you're going to notice this when you receive the devices, and you're going to see this around your offices. Next slide. Now, just to go into a little bit of the details and the timing, these are some of the dates that we've put forth. We're going to have you register with your office with all the names of the participants by April 20th. This is going to allow us at Myzone to set up the proper leaderboards and get everybody ready for the start of the challenge. The email to use is on this document, and it's being recorded. It's just congressionalchallenge@myzone.org. The event is going to kick off on April 27th. This is when we're going to be set up, and we'll have the devices ready to hand out. We'll go through the setup. We'll make sure that everybody's ready to go. You'll be able to use the devices at that time, because we can control the MEPs, or what we're going to be tracking the challenge by the start date. So you'll be ready to use the device, practice, and get ready to go. There's nothing worse than going through a workout and not having your device turned on. So we'll make sure that you know how to do that. The actual challenge will start May 2nd, and it will end on May 31st. And we'll be very clear with the timelines, so that you understand when you can get your last workout in. And we'll go through that. The beauty of the product is you can train anywhere you want. Your workouts are going to be uploaded to the app, that you'll be able to see, and you're going to be able to see the leaderboards as well. So you do not have to be in a facility that is a Myzone facility. You can be, but you don't have to be. You can be inside an apartment. You can be working out outside. So wherever you train, as long as you have your Myzone device on, you'll be okay. And one thing to point out, and we'll go over this on the 27th as well, but you don't necessarily have to have your phone or your device with you. These Myzone switches, the MZ switch has a memory, so you can exercise without the device, and it will retain the memory so that when you go back to your device after your workout, it will upload for you. On June 14th, we will go ahead and present the awards. We'll collect all the devices at that time. And I do know that the board will also have a team, but won't be eligible for the prize pool. And to that point, let me go over a little bit of the prizes that we'll be giving out, or the rewards we'll be giving out. So if you can go to the final slide. There's multiple ways that we're going to be able to track it, and this is what we've seen in the past. So we will provide a recognition for the top individual point earner. So the one that receives the most MEPs will receive that. We will also be rewarding the top office point earner. So whichever office combines to get the most MEPs will receive recognition. Then we're going to create an average, because sometimes there may be 30 people in one office and only 4 people in another. So to balance it out, we will do a recognition for the top office point average. The one call out there is that you must have a minimum of 4 people participating. And then we'll also recognize the office staff that has the most participants to reach the World Health Organization's guidelines. So you're doing it in a little bit less time. So May 1st to the 21st, I believe, May 2nd to the 21st. But it's a very achievable goal to get to 1,300 Myzone effort points. So we want to reinforce that throughout the competition, so people feel what it's like to get to that minimum threshold. And that's the MZ switch and a little bit about Myzone.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. I hope you're all very excited for the challenge. I know we are. It's going to be a great opportunity to be physically active and have a little competition too. Terry, I have a couple of questions, and I'll answer the first one since I was the one who kind of worked with it on this. But one of the questions that we have in the box is whether or not this has been approved by the ethics committee. It has. You're not allowed to keep the devices, but you are allowed to use them during the challenge, and that's been approved. So no worries there. Another question that Terry, that maybe you can answer this. There's a couple of questions about whether or not if they already have their own personal Myzone device, if that device can be used for the challenge.
Yeah, and the answer to that is absolutely. We're going to sign someone up through their email. So if you already have a device and you want to belong into the challenge, that's not a problem at all.
Okay, fantastic. And then another question, should the device be linked to a house issued device? And I'm assuming they're meaning like their personal phone or a personal device. Probably would, and this is kind of more, I think more along the lines of ethics, but I would probably assume you want it on your personal device more than the one that's issued by the house, if that's the one you're using.
Yeah, and that would, you're right. In my world, if I had a corporate device and a personal device, I'd be linking it to my personal device because I, would continue to want my information and so on and so forth. The one thing is the app, we're registering to an email. So if, for example, you were on one device and then that device was taken away and you wanted to continue your Myzone, you could still sign in with a different app on a different device. So, it's not important to us in regards to that. That'd probably be more of a question for your own offices.
Okay. All right, and I think that's it for our questions. Let me just put. Is the competition open to DC and district state staff? It's only open to the DC staff at this point. So unfortunately, we are not able to expand it out to the district state staff, but it's only open to DC staff. Let me see here.
There was a question in regards to if someone loses their device, and unfortunately, if that happens, that's just an unfortunate thing. We can get a replacement out pretty quick if we needed to. You know, the key is we do provide them with a nice bag, so you can keep everything in the bag. So what I'd encourage is when you're done working out, you know, it goes into the bag.
All right, another question. Is it possible to participate as a single user from your office?
Sure, absolutely. We would love to see it. The only thing that you wouldn't be eligible for, I think, on the recognition is the one where we're going to do the average for the offices, where we require a minimum of 4, but otherwise, heck yeah, jump in.
Okay. All right, let me just make sure I've got all the questions answered here. I think we did. And it looks like there's a few that are sad that they're in the district office and can't participate. Maybe next year we can get that coordinated so we can get you guys participating, but for this year it's just the DC office. But I think other than that, I think we are good. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Physical Activity Alliance or to Myzone as well. You have the email address there. Get your names and participants into that congressional challenge at myzone.com as quickly as possible.
Congressional challenge at myzone.org.
Oh, .org, sorry.
.org, yes, .org.
Right.
And you know, as questions come up, if you want to go ahead and fire some questions into there, I'm sure we'll be able to respond to them, because I just saw, Amani, another one just came up. Can leadership offices participate?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And then again, the challenge runs from May 2nd to May 31st, and then we'll collect the devices after that. But we'll be sending out some additional info by email. Those of you who register for this, we'll make sure and get you that information as well. But we'll be also sending out through a dear colleague and through email as well to get you the information on this. And again, this has been recorded. So if you need to be able to see this again, this will be up on the PAA website, and we'll be able to share that link with you so you can watch it as well. Thank you all for joining. And we look forward to getting physically active with you in the month of May. Thank you.